So you're a sales rep and you'd like to know how Infusion Mobile can help you do your job better. Infusion Mobile helps you take orders, prepare quotes and look up customers and leads. Infusion Mobile runs on a whole range of mobile devices. It will work on your tablets, your phones. It also works on your laptop and in your office using a normal web browser. The first thing that you see when you use Infusion Mobile is your login screen. So we can log in using our email address and password. Once we've logged into the program, we'll appear on the main menu. This main menu has been configured for a salesperson. There's a lot of features that we can turn on and off, but we've limited the features here so you fully understand how it can help you best. The first option that you see on the screen is customers, and the customers relate directly to the customers that you have in your accounting software. The next option is the nearby button, and this will show you a map of where you are using Google Maps. It will also show all of your customers and leads around you, and you can click on any of these icons to see more detail. The next option is where you will live most of the time, and it allows you to prepare quotes and invoices. I'm going to show you this in a few minutes. Moving down the screen, we have the Process Credit Card button, and if you have an account with DPS or with some other payment gateways, you can accept credit cards on your mobile phone or your tablet, and you don't need a mobile FPOS machine. The next couple of options are to do with CRM type functionality, so each person has their own calendar and their task list. And of course we can sign out. So let's have a look at the customers. These are all the customers out of your Infusion accounting package. You'll see that we've got their name and their balances shown on the screen. But before we go and look at a customer, let's have a quick look at the screen. The screens are generally laid out the same way. At the top left will be a menu or a back button, and at the top right will be an add or an edit button. And at the bottom of the screen we have some quick links to various parts of the system. But for now, let's click on this customer. We're going to go into All Car Parts. So we're now in All Car Parts. There's a few things we can do in here. We can use the Contacts button to view all of the contacts that work for All Car Parts. And we'll be able to see their phone numbers and what their position is within the business. You can also record notes, and you can have as many notes as you need per customer. If we have a look at the screen and we scroll down a little bit, we'll see that we've got the phone number, the mobile number, the email address, and the physical and postal address. These have all come from your accounting package. You'll also have notes and the balances. So typically as a sales rep, the first thing that you'll do is you'll look at the balances and determine whether you can actually place an order for this customer. The next thing you might want to do is you might want to actually ring them or send them a text message. And you can do this at the bottom of the screen. Because this customer has a phone number and a mobile number entered, we can simply click on the Call Phone button and we'll ring the customer up. Let's have another look at some of the other options at the top of the screen. If we use this other button, you can look at the sales history for this customer. So we'll do that now. We can either look at the history or we can look at what they haven't paid. We'll click on Outstanding. Because I'm looking at the outstanding items, it only shows me the invoices the customer hasn't paid. We can then click on any of these invoices and see the invoice in more detail. So all of this transaction history has come out of your accounting package. So here's the header. We can see the actual line items for the invoice, and at the bottom of the screen we'll see the balance and whether it's been paid. In some cases you may actually want to repeat an order, and there's a button provided on the screen to do this. But we're back at our customer. We're now ready to go into the customer's premises and we're ready to prepare a quote or an order. So to do this, we click on the Create Quote or Order button. We could also do this from the main menu if you wanted to, but we'll do it from here. So we click on Create Quote or Order. It brings us up what we call a draft order. A draft order is something that hasn't yet been confirmed as a quote or a charge. It's just an order or an invoice that we're working on. And we can leave the order and come back to it as many times as we like. There's several ways you can add items to an order. They're all shown at the top of the screen. That's what this top bar is. The most normal way to add items to an order will be to use the search option. So we'll click on search and we'll type in part of the description. It brings us up all of the items that match that description. And you can type in different parts of the description. It does a Google type search, so it will look for any part of the words anywhere in the description. It also looks at the product codes. It shows us the items, shows us how many we have available, And if you've got multi-location stock turned on, it will also show you how many are available at your particular location or in your particular van if you carry stock with you. But we're going to add this item to our order, so we simply click on the item, say how many we want, and click on Save. It brings us back to the search mode so we can do our next search. This time I'm going to search for the word wheel. It shows me all the different wheels that I have, and you'll notice that this one is not in stock, so it does highlight that when you have items that aren't in stock. You can optionally set up the system so that items that are no longer in stock aren't shown in the list. But for now, let's select this item here, and we'll add 2 of those to our order. If you have the ability to override prices, you can also do this at this point. So we could say that this is $240, and we can also apply a discount if we want to. These options can be turned on and off per user. So we've added a couple of items to our order or our quote, and we're ready to produce a quote or an invoice. But before we do that, let me quickly show you a couple of other ways you can add items to an order. If you've got a barcode reader, you can use the barcode scanner, and you use this barcode button. Every time you zap one of your items, it will add one of those to the order. You can also override the quantity as you're scanning items. Another way you can add items to the order is to use the quick option. The quick option is really powerful because it looks at the customer's history and only brings you up the items that they normally order. And it can look at the history for any predetermined period, but by default we set it to a year. So if I click on quick now, you'll see these are the items that this customer normally orders. And we can quickly restock the shelves by adding items to the order. We can also manually type in quantities if we want to. So we'll add those items to our order. You can see our orders slowly building up. The other option we have is we can do it more like a shopping cart. So we can click on Gallery. It will show us our categories, and then we will see the subcategories. And then when we get into the subcategory, we see the actual items. Now, if you're working on a mobile device or a phone, you can click on these images, and the image will be blown up so that you can say to the customer, look, this is our new item, whatever it is. To add these items to your order, you simply use the Add button. And we can say that we want one of those, and we'll save that. Comes back to where you were. So we've now got all these items on our order, and we're ready to either produce a quote or an invoice. So to prepare a quote, we simply click on the quote button. If we do this, it will ask us a couple of questions, and then it will send the quote to the customer as an email with a PDF attached. But in this case, we're going to charge the customer. So let's click on Charge. The first thing it asks for is an order number. We'll enter an order number. You can also enter any notes, and you can determine whether you wish to email the order or the invoice to the customer. This pick list has a list of all the contacts within that business. It also has the ability for you to send it to your head office or not send it at all. If you've turned on this functionality, you can also get the customer to sign the order. To complete the order, we click on the Save button. And once we click on the Save button, this order will then synchronize back into Infusion. Within a few minutes, this order will appear in your Infusion accounting package as a saved invoice. The office can then pick the goods, produce the invoice, and send out the final invoice. If you've supplied the goods out of your van, they can simply process the invoice immediately. The other thing you might like to do as a sales rep is keep track of your calendar events or your tasks. And to do this, we can either go to the customer or we can go directly to the calendar. But for now, let's add a calendar event for all car parts. Now, I've worked on this customer before, so the most recent record is always shown at the top of the screen. If I click on that customer, I can actually go down the bottom of the screen and I can say, let's add a calendar event. By doing it from here, the calendar event is actually linked to that customer. That means when you're looking at your calendar, you can drill back down into the customer details. So let's phone the customer for a follow-up, and let's do it in a couple of weeks. Now, depending on your mobile device, this calendar will use the native calendar built into your phone. So on an iPhone, you'll get the scrolling wheels. On an Android, you'll get the Android calendar. And under Windows, which I'm working now, it brings up a calendar that looks a bit like this. You can select your date and time, put in the location and notes, You can also assign the task to somebody else in your business. So if you have other sales reps that need to do follow-up work, or maybe the head office, you can pick who the owner of this activity is. So we'll click Save, and it's been added to our calendar. So at any time we can go back to that event, click on the company and drill back into the company details. The last thing that I'm going to show you is the process credit cards. At the time that you complete a sale, you can also take a credit card payment. Now by default we use DPS as a payment gateway, but we can do other payment gateways if you need them. Payments can be taken from the customer screen, the quotes or the invoices, or you can do one-off payments like I'm about to do. If you do this from the customer screen, it will put the reference in for you, but I'm going to type it in manually. The amount will also default to the amount that the customer owes. Once I click on Charge Now, it opens the DPS payment gateway. You can now hand your mobile device or tablet to the customer. They can enter their own credit card numbers, or you can enter it for them. Once they click on the Submit button, it will either approve or decline the transaction and return back to the main menu. As I mentioned before, if you use the Nearby button, it shows you where you are on a map. And if you've got customers that are nearby, they'll be shown as little icons around you, and you can click on those icons to drill into that customer in more detail. So that's a very quick run through from a sales rep point of view. There's a lot of features you can turn on and off. If you'd like to see that in more detail, make sure you contact us or watch some of the other videos. Thank you for watching.